So I think it'd be interesting to know how you parent your two kids, how you educate them, what's important to you in terms of supporting their education and what that looks like. And obviously, you've got Willow, who's 9, Albie, who's 7, beautiful people who I love and haven't seen for a long time, but know them well. And of course, Sam, your wife. And yeah, I'd love to know what education looks like in your household.
Well, we're it's a big topic for us. Like we look at the rest of the world where everyone just kind of goes to school, and for us, we're like not in. We're not. We're our heads are in a completely kind of different place. It's not just a given thing,
Mm,
and I know it isn't for lots of parents. Actually, I feel like if we really could move the education system forward, or offer viable alternatives, many people might jump ship from the current offering. I don't know how it is in Australia, but um, generally worldwide, I feel like there's a sense of like something's really not serving the world right now and our children. It's out of date, like badly out of date. And that is because of the lack of trust. It's actually because of the built-in lack of trust, the lack of choice. Um, this is just not good enough anymore. Like an education system that just tells kids what to do, um, what they're going to study, when they're going to study it. There's like punishment, discipline, if you step out of line. I'm afraid, for me, I look at many of the secondary schools in the UK, which is like 12 to 18, and they just do look like prison facilities. So I'm pretty hardcore about that, and I'm fine with that. I wouldn't wade into every parent gathering with these kind of opinions, but I'm just laying it out there. So I really think massive change is needed. So Sam and I have taken that very seriously from the minute we had children. And it grew and grew as they became 2, 3, 4. We had incredible childminder. I mean, I don't even want to call her a childminder. She was just an absolute, just one of our closest friends and part of our community. So we also had a shared lifestyle choice there with short moments practice and a general atmosphere of relaxation in the whole building. We were living in the same building. And then out of that childcare arrangement, which was really like having another mother and father, because also her partner, now husband, was also part of that child rearing kind of in the daytimes, and Sam and I would do our work. And very blessed situation, and raising our kids in a village. They have that's been a huge aspect of their education, more broadly speaking, was a lot of co-parenting and a lot of kind of like a close connection with other families. And my kids have like 50 plus authentic adult relationships, which is, I know, in this day and age, staggering. Like, for most people listening to this, do not be disappointed in your own situation if there isn't anyone you could put on that list, because I think that's pretty common, that children just don't really have like a close, authentic relationship with any adults apart from mum and dad. I bet, maybe just mum, maybe just dad, so um, it's another part of the way we've constructed our society, which I think is really not good for children. So we've been lucky. We've jumped both feet into a community living sort of situation, which is exactly how we want to live. But the benefits of it also is a very trusting and very close knit community. So I know this can also be the case with strong faith of whatever kind, or there's other ways of making community. But just that thing alone, that my kids have that many adults who don't babyfy them, they don't talk down to them, the kids aren't separate in any way, has been a massive empowerment and a massive education for them. So we then founded a school. We didn't want to send them to local schools of any kind, because we made the choice I made the choice on two grounds. I remember having a meeting with the other parents that we founded this. It became a Montessori school and was also based a bit on agile learning, which is another kind of self-directed model. We had this great meeting where we just went, it was hard work, really hard work setting up the school. And we had a meeting where we just restated, why are we doing this? What are our reasons for doing this to ourselves? Starting a school, wow, it's a huge project. So, and I remember really clearly going, two reasons. One is the educational style, like the basically being told what to do, having no choice, and just going into classes, and it just is what it is. And of course, I see the teenage fallout from that, so I know where that leads. The other was just the culture in general, was actually just the ways of relating in general, not wanting to put our kids in with everybody else, because I feel like the culture, and this is not a judgment on everybody else at all, but I think culture in general, if we're not careful, becomes like the lowest common denominator, becomes like the lowest standard can be set as the standard for everybody, rather than there being ways of speaking up for a higher standard of relating. And I just don't think teachers and schools are equipped to set a good culture, actually. I don't think we have these archaic models. So the punishment and the way of running schools, we're used to it, but I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right at all. So those were the two reasons, was just the schooling model and how we're actually wanting our kids to grow into their own passions and interests and not just come out teenage with no idea kind of what they like, and having just been smashed over the head with 10 subjects or whatever, and feeling like, why, who made this world up? Some parents literally, some kids literally talk like that, like, why do we have to go to school? But yeah. And the other thing then is that, just our ways of relating, just our culture. So we started a school, and it was within our community setting, and it was radical. We wanted to like seal ourselves off in a separate unit. There were no TVs, which was cool, just like everyone seemed to be kind of on the same page. Very restful environment, lots of flow of kids and adults, and our own schooling system where we really prioritize respectful relating and culture, and more than anything, as a foundation for then learning. And it was self-directed, which Montessori is. And then the pandemic, and we came to the countryside to live with my mum, which has been brilliant, to just suddenly burst out of the city. And now they've gone to the local school. So, there you go. You never know what's going to happen. It's a tiny little local school, and it's great. And there's a timer on it for us, because we know that the rot is kind of setting in some ways. It's a school founded on punishment. When you're looking at a school, that's one very interesting part of it, is how do you deal with behavior? How do you discipline? But it's a very gentle, loving school. But they're in there with the other kids and all their ways of relating, all of the kind of fortnights and the games and the fucking, the stuff that I don't really think, it's the lowest form of our culture. It's the kind of, it's just, we can do so much better than that. So just to share, my daughter came back yesterday, and she's heard people in the playground, just the insults that are going around, people calling each other gay. This is like heartbreaking for me, to see my own kids in an environment where that kind of thing is going on. But of course I understand it. I don't blame the children at all. I think as a whole society, we really need to take responsibility for, we need to find a way. And I know I found a way. I feel like the community that I'm part of really has a much higher standard, much higher standard. And it's taken some learning from me to look at myself, look at how I relate to myself, how I relate to others. It's taken a trainer, I've got my coach, and it's taken a whole load of support to shift that. But to me, that is just not good enough. I dedicate my life to, two things: shifting that culture in general, and also upgrading our educational approaches into a more respectful, honoring, which by the way would be Montessori. So I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we're looking for Montessori secondary. That's our next step.
Mm,
That is an empowering culture. We want to
mm,
plug in also the short moments practice to that school, and I'm sure they'll be open to it. Montessori just draws a line. You don't come in with your Disney lunch boxes. You don't come in. There's advice for parents around gaming back home. So the home culture also is empowering for them. There aren't kids who go back and game for 5 hours and tell everyone else the next day how much fun it is, because that then sets it all going for all the parents, and everyone's got to have a phone when they're 9 years old or whatever it is. So the school actually holds that space for the parents, which, gosh, that is needed. Otherwise the parents are like, how can we speak up against this? Everyone else is gaming these hours, so how can I tell my son, who wants to do nothing but game because he hasn't been educated to be interested in other things, how can I stand in his way? So it's a big operation, I would say, for parents out there. But in answer to your question, yeah, we're really making some radical choices, and I think that's needed. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
but hoping to bring everybody with us. Yeah.